Hello friends, this is Stitching with Charlie. I'm Charlie and my pronouns are she and her, and I'm coming to you today with a finish parade. So I started stitching at the end of January 2025, which means this week I hit my 6-month stitchiversary. So I've now been cross-stitching for just 6 months, and today I wanted to celebrate all the things I finished in that time as a little motivation to continue and to look back and see all the lovely things I've managed to stitch together. So I'm not going to go into all the details now, but if you've been following along, you may know that I started cross-stitching as I've been dealing with some pretty severe chronic health conditions in the last couple of years that have been extremely bad in the last year or so. And I started cross-stitching as a new hobby to be done at home. Absolutely loved it. Joined Flosstube around March time, I think. And now I am, I've just blossomed into having multiple whips and lots of finishes, so I'm having a lot of fun. So today's video is going to be a celebration of everything I've managed to finish in the last 6 months. It's not everything I have stitched in the last 6 months because I have been wonderfully influenced by Flosstubers and Instagram and all those lovely things. And I also now have a large number of works in progresses, so whips. So tomorrow's video will be a whip parade to see kind of how many things I've managed to accumulate in the last few months. But today we're just gonna look at the finishes. So let's dive right in. We're gonna go sort of vaguely in chronological order, but I have been stitching a lot of small magnets for my radiator to kind of jazz up my boring radiator, and we'll just sort of pepper those in, even though a lot of them were done early on in the journey. So the first one is an Emma Louise Art Stitch kit. So this is stitched on the 14 count Ada. It's stitched with anchor floss, which is what Emma kits up her projects. Emma Louise Art Stitch is a British designer, so I'm also English. She lives on the south coast in Cornwall, and she does beautiful scenes. A lot of them are coastal inspired, and she has this series of nighttime meadow scenes, which I think are absolutely lovely. She just released one with a cat, and there's one with a hare and things like that as well. So this was bought for me as a kit for Christmas last year, and it was my first cross-stitch project. So it is full cross for the background, and it's full coverage, so it's about 6,000 stitches, not huge, but also not tiny, for the background. And then there is back stitch and long stitch over the top. So it's stitched as the pattern called for, except when I got to the back stitching on the top, I did go a bit rogue. So I sort of followed it, but made some changes to kind of as I liked it. So I added in more heads on the dandelions, so they looked a bit fuller, and then also the outlining on the plants and the butterflies have sort of went a bit more sketchy style, included some of the background in it because I liked that. The pattern also has some white sort of star shapes across the whole pattern, and I thought that it didn't need it. I liked it with just the simplicity of the black back stitch on the top. So yeah, that was my first piece. I framed it recently in this little frame that I got from the charity shop, so it's thrifted, and because it's quite thick, the back doesn't actually stay in, so it's just sellotaped on, but that means that I can take it off and swap out another piece if I want to. And currently this one lives up on my shelf when I'm not filming, and I think the colours are just lovely for this room with the greens. So that was my first piece. I then started stitching a lot of small magnets. So I was on a journey to cover the whole of my my radiator in my room, which is just a plain white radiator on a plain white wall, and I wanted to cover it with fun things. So I started stitching little magnets. So I'm going to show them to you in batches. We're not going to go through each single one, but the first batch is on a baking tray. So it's like a batch of cookies. I baked you this batch of magnets. So the top line of birds, they're taken from a book called Cute Kawaii Cross Stitch. I'm going to link down below all of where you can find the patterns, so if I don't say everything, they'll all be down below if you're interested. Yeah, the top little birds, they're taken from the book Cute Kawaii Cross Stitch. I didn't do, they all have sort of little rosy cheeks, and I didn't do the cheeks, I just left them in the background colour of the background colour of the bird. And then I did also have to change their legs a little bit because they were very thin and spindly, and I wanted them not to be too delicate on a magnet. And I did exchange the single cross stitch for the eyes for a little French knot. It was my first time doing French knots. I think they came out well, but there was a lot of frustration with eyes sort of hanging half off and having to redo them. The seagull's head is also, I made a mistake, and his head is a lot fatter than it should be. It's a couple of rows thicker. So my magnets, I stitched these on a 14 count twist canvas, as Wygart twist canvas. So I got it from my local craft shop, and I wanted something that you could just cut out and that you wouldn't have to, that wouldn't worry about fraying. It's also sometimes called tapestry canvas, so it's kind of what people would tend to use for tapestry needlework rather than cross stitch. But it works really well for these because it's sort of like a plasticky material, and then when you're done, you just cut them out around the edge, and then you don't have to worry about it fraying or having to kind of go over the edges. And they're quite sturdy. I've got a couple of Mill Hill kits on perforated paper, but I've not yet tried it, so I can't tell you how it compares to perforated paper, which I know a lot of people use for kind of smalls like this. I do use 4 threads of DMC for these because obviously the holes are quite big, so you do want to get good coverage. You need probably 4 or 6. I do all of mine with 4, but 4 or 6 would work well to kind of get that good coverage. And then on the back, they are just a little craft magnet, which are little self-adhesive ones that I get from my local craft shop. Actually, these magnets, I'm using the same ones, so you can see there's the magnet, and then it just has a little self-adhesive thing that peels off, and then you just stick it on the back, and then they're magnetized. So the second set, these were a gift for someone. They are little sprites from the game Starbound. So I charted these myself just by getting I just took screenshots from the game and then blew them up really big and printed them, and then I just drew the grid over the top. They are already in pixel art form, so I just sort of replicated the pixel art in cross stitch. So this is the main character that the person I gifted these to plays as. So it's like a little green jumping person, and this is a bear called a Numi, and it does have 3 eyes. That's because in the game this type of this species also has 3 eyes, so there's a 3rd eye under the hat, so the bear has 3 eyes. And this is a little shark, a little land shark that like runs around on land, and it's called a Lilodon in the game. And this one's been nicknamed Jeff because in Marvel there's also a land shark called Jeff that is a shark that has legs. So these were some of my first magnets. I do really like this small size. Some of the ones I've done later get a bit bigger, and then they can get bent and things, but these little small size work really well for these magnets, and they're really fun to play with. They get moved all around the house and things, so it's good. The next piece is one that I don't have with me, so I will pop a photo. So this is from the Cross Stitcher magazine May 25 issue. I stitched this for a friend of mine whose name begins with R, and I had started a little piece that was a sort of classic letter with some flowers around it, which actually you'll see in the whip parade tomorrow because it has never been finished. And I had started that, but then the issue of Cross Stitcher magazine came out with these amazing sloth letters, and I just thought that is so much better for my friend. That is much more appropriate for for her. I think she loves cute animals and things. So I stitched this up and then I just finished it on a little card. It's stitched on, I think, probably a 20 count even weave. I got some offcuts from my craft shop and I think it's either something like a 26 or a 28 count even weave. It's stitched as per the pattern, but I did use my own colours, so I just pulled from stash with something that I thought would work rather than buying new colours. The next one is also one that I don't have here because it was gifted, but this was my biggest piece that I have finished to date. I think it's about 18,500 stitches, so it's mostly full coverage with a little bit of knot stitched in the top corner, and some of it is also half cross or tent stitch for some of the background texture. So this is Kingfisher Frame by Carol Thornton, and it's from the World of Cross Stitching magazine, April 25 edition. I stitched it on a Zweigart 32 count even weave. I used 2 threads over 2. The magazine called for and the model stitched was on a 25 count even weave, and they'd used 3 threads over 2. And I thought, oh, I love a loop start. I'm not sure I can be bothered to start 3 threads every time. So I sort of shrunk the count down a little bit, and also did it on a blue rather than a yellow. The model was done on a lovely yellow colour. And I wanted the kind of blue to be like the sky in the top area that's not stitched. So I started this one in March and I finished it in May. It was for someone's birthday whose birthday was in June. So this was my focus piece for a while, and I kind of had to push hard on it to get it done. And then I did frame it myself. So I was very proud of that, that I managed to frame it. All the pieces coming up next, none of them have been finished. So the only 2 I've actually properly finished are the 2 you've already seen. Finishing's not my strong suit, I think. I like the stitching. Okay, let's do another round of magnets. So these ones are little Pusheen the cat. So I was bought very kindly the Pusheen Cross Stitch kit. And that comes with 3 different designs, of which I've done 2 of. So again, this is on that twist canvas, the 14 count twist canvas. So I haven't used the kit Ada. The kit comes with an Ada, but I have I swapped it out for something I could turn into a magnet. So these top 2 are from that kit. So it's called the Pusheen Cross Stitch kit, and there's a 3rd design as well, which is another Pusheen with another donut. So these 2 use the kit flosses, because I was turning 2 threads on the Ada into 4 threads on this twist canvas. I have now run out of the kit, kind of this background grey. So when I'm stitching the 3rd one, I'll have to substitute it in. And then this one down here is another Pusheen, but it doesn't come from that kit. This is a design, a sort of pixel art design done by Rios Bracelets on Instagram, and originally they turned it into a really cute bracelet, and it'll be linked down below if you're interested. And yeah, it's Pusheen eating a slice of pizza, which is very cute. But this one's chubby Pusheen because it's much bigger than the other 2. So yeah, I've got the 3rd one of this set to do, and then we'll have 4 little Pusheen friends. So the next one is my Unplug and Go Outside. This is by Emma Congdon, and ta-da! It has been washed and pressed, but the wrinkles are starting to show again, so I think it needs another pressing before I frame it. I do have the frame that I want to put this in. I managed to get a half-price frame with like a blue and natural woods, which I think will look really nice. This will look really nice in it. So at some point it'll get framed and can be up on the shelf. But for now it is just stitched. So this is stitched on a 36 count white even weave. It's the Fabric Flair brand, and I used all the called for floss. It's DMC and it's 2 over 2 in terms of the thread. So I finished this one around the end of May, and it's from Emma Congdon's Cross Stitch for the Earth book, and I just love those designs in there. I've got another one on the go already, but most of the designs in there I want to stitch. So I am working my way through. I sort of said to myself, well, you can do one at a time, and then when you finish one, you can start another one. But I just think this is so clever. Her use of her use of the graphic design of the lettering and the typography is just so lovely. So changes on this one. I have done quite a lot of changes. So here's the list. So the P and the L in the middle of Unplug, I did elongate the left hand side of the P one stitch down because I felt like it was really sort of short and stubby, and then I matched that on the L. The G I moved up one square because it was lower than the U, and I have a big thing about symmetry, and so I wanted it kind of all to be symmetrical. There's one fewer stitch on the blue top hand right side border. Again, I just felt like it was a bit more balanced, leaving one of the stitches off. The goose beak, I put a little 3/4 stitch in on the goose beak, and normally that was a full cross. I definitely have a thing about adding in fractional stitches where I can to projects, and I really do have a preference for how they look, so I did that. I added white to the little goose's face because the pattern is just empty for the background to show through, and I just wanted to kind of fill it in so the texture was the same across the whole of the face of the goose. I did French knots for the eyes. There's a theme here. I just personally, I don't love the look of a single cross stitch for an eye sometimes, particularly when you can see the individual crosses. I prefer a French knot, so I did that. And the other difference is some of the flowers down here they went wrong, so that's an accidental mistake, but it is different from the model stitch, and it's different from the pattern. They went wrong, so I sort of just added a few more flowers. I fudged it rather than frogging it. I love this piece. I'm really looking forward to getting this framed and up on the wall. Okay, the next one is Max Pigeon's Flight of the Flock. So this is from his book, Cross Stitch for the Forest. And here it is. Is that the right way up? Yes, that's the right way up. I just had a thought. I don't know which way up it is. So this is also stitched on the same piece of fabric that the Unplug and Go Outside is. It is the white even weave 36 count. And I used all of the DMC called 4 threads again. And I just absolutely love this colour palette. I think the colour palette is just gorgeous. The blues and greens and purples. And Max Pigeon does an amazing job with geometry and design and things. And it's just absolutely stunning. I had thought I was going to put this in a hoop finish, but now I'm not so sure. So it's sort of sitting on the finish pile, wondering what to have done with it. I think that might be one of my favourite pieces. Apart from the Kingfisher, I think the Kingfisher is probably my favourite. I think this is probably my second favourite in terms of the finish. I just love that those birds are left unstitched. It's so clever. And this is one that actually you probably should, or it's easiest to do it on an even weave, because there's lots of fractional stitches in those birds. So an even weave or a linen would be the easiest way to do that. Great. We are rattling through. It's going to be a shorter video than usual. Okay, more magnets. There's quite a collection. Back in my early videos, I was doing the Wheel of Magnet Mayhem, and we'd spin a new magnet and I'd stitch it up. I've got a bit distracted and sidetracked recently, but I think that's the way, right? People when they first start stitching, they stitch lots of smalls, and then they stitch cards, and they stick bookmarks, and then they, everyone's journey is different, and it's lovely, and I'm glad that I'm making these videos to kind of document what I've been making. But I must admit my what I like and what I am drawn to is definitely changing, and that's wonderful. When I first started stitching, I was like, everything has to have a place. I have to know where I would put it on the wall, or what room it would go in. And if it didn't have a place, then I wouldn't necessarily want to stitch it. And now I just want to stitch everything, and it doesn't matter if it's not my style or the style I want to decorate my house in. It's the pleasure of stitching and the variety of different designs, and I just love that. So 3 more little magnets. So that's Mike Wazowski from the film Monsters Inc. And Dory from Finding Nemo. And they are both, they'll be linked down below, but basically they're pixel art. So one is, this one was a pixel art that someone had done, and this one was actually a pearl of beads, or we call them hammer beads in the UK, sort of the little beads that you put on a board and then you iron them. So someone had made this in those pearl of beads, and I thought the design was great, so I replicated it in cross stitch. And then this third one is a little owl. It's a free pattern on the gathered.how website, which are the people that are overarching, they do the magazines of World of Cross Stitch and things, so they have some free patterns on their website. I changed the colours up for that one, and in hindsight the only difference I would make is the beak. I would have probably done the beak in yellow, so that it sort of stands out, because it does sort of fade into the background a little bit. But yeah, it's actually from an article called Cross Stitch for Kids. I thought, well, I'm a big kid, I can stitch it. Okay, I think we're getting near the end. I had a big pile and I've just, 4 more. I don't know how many more. The next one, let's do the last magnet. The next one is the Chameleon from Just Cross Stitch Summer 25 edition. It's the one that is on the cover of that magazine. I did change the colours, so I just picked the brightest colours I could find, and we came up with yellow, orange and green. I don't know that I've ever seen a yellow, orange and green chameleon. That would be a weird background for them to be camouflaging into. I stitched this with Laura at Stitching by the Shore. She did a Name the Chameleon stitch along, where people named their chameleons. I had some really good suggestions. Actually, I said I was going to put a poll out on my community page of my channel, and I have not yet done that. So I will do that at some point soon. I'll take all the suggestions that people came up with in my comments, and we'll get this guy an official name. So this is probably pushing it a bit in terms of how big you want to do your magnets. So this is getting to be about 50 wires, about 40, 45, I think, something like that. And also it has this thin part. So I did change the pattern. I changed, in the full pattern, he's sitting on like a branch and there's like flowers around. So I changed the legs a little bit so that they weren't quite so sticking out and delicate. And then when it came to the tail, I moved everything over so there wasn't like a big gap down here, so that it kind of curled twistily in on itself, like tightly in on itself, just so that it wasn't so delicate. But this is probably pushing it on about as delicate you want to go with the magnets. But I live in a house that doesn't have any little people or pets, so we are okay in terms of like they don't get moved around and grabbed and played with. Really, they get moved around and played with by adults, but we're quite delicate with them. I think what I might do is put another magnet on its tail, because it's a little bit I think another magnet on its tail to kind of be a bit more secure, I think would be the way to go on that one. But very cheeky chappy, and we'll get him a name very soon. That's all the magnets. I did say that I was going to do a Stardew Valley inspired one, so I think I've decided I'm going to do the horse, and I might make the horse a hat. If you played Stardew Valley the game, you'll know that you can get hats, and originally you could only put the hats on your little person, and nowadays you can also put the hat on your horse, which is fun. The next one is sort of a finish, but I think I've decided that it's also going to be a work in progress. Sorry if you can hear a real squealing trailer outside. I live on the main road, and normally it's not too noisy, but there was a real squealy wheels of a bus, I think. So this one is called Native Trio. It's from the Homespun magazine, the August 2023 edition, which is an Australian magazine. They don't do a lot of cross stitch, but they do, they do some occasionally. And it was originally designed on Hessian. It was stitched stitched in white on like a tent stitch on a Hessian, which I thought was lovely. But I wondered how scratchy that would be. Mine is stitched in DMC 08, so just in one colour. And also, this is not a cross-stitching fabric. So this massive piece of fabric I got very cheap from a local shop. And it is oh, it's disappeared. Where's it gone? It's on the other side. It is a linen viscose blend, and in the shop I looked at it and I thought, that's square, right? Like, I can cross stitch on that. I got it home and measured it. It's about 18 count in one direction, about 23 count in the other direction. So it's stitchable, certainly, but the pattern is stretched. So if you're going to stitch on fabric that is not cross-stitching fabric, just have a look at how square that weave is. And if it's stretched in one direction or the other, make sure that you think about which way you're laying your pattern down. So I thought for a plant, it wouldn't be a problem. We could just stretch the plant upwards. And I think it turned out really well. And I really liked a monochromatic piece. It was really nice to stitch. It's stitched 2/1 full cross, so two threads just over one on those kind of slightly rectangular. And the reason I think it's gonna be a whip is because there are 3 patterns in this design, and I think I'm going to do them all next to each other on a single piece of fabric. So it's a finish for now, but I think I've decided that instead of doing them as 3 different pieces, I'll do them on a single piece next to each other. So you'll see this again in tomorrow's video for the whip parade. Oh, last one. And if you've made it this far, this is a new finish that I haven't shown yet on my normal floss tubes because it was finished this week. This is Halloween Tree by Anna Chinotto of Stitching in the Rain, and it's from the Just Cross Stitch magazine Halloween Special 2021. And this is a 32 count navy blue linen, and it was an offcut that I got from my local shop. Now this is stitched 1/1, so teeny tiny on the 32 count. I used DMC 310, so the black, and then the white is just B250, whatever the white is, B5200. The pattern actually has it in glow in the dark threads, but I'd not used it before. I didn't have any in stash, and also given how tiny I was stitching this 1/1 on the 32 count, I thought that trying to use the glow in the dark threads might be a little bit of a stretch. So this one was started in March and I finished it in July this week. So this is one of the ones I was motivating myself to get finished for my hashtag Just Finished June and July. I've been doing on my channel a little challenge to have get things finished in June and July that have been sort of languishing on your whip pile. So you've got a few days to join us if there's something you want to finish off by the end of July. And then coming up on my channel, we'll do a little community finish parade of all the things that everyone's been finishing off to celebrate. I have one more thing that I have actually stitched, but it's a secret, so you can't see it yet. I took part in Laura at Stitching by the Shore. She does artist trading card swaps. So a couple of times a year she'll have a theme. People stitch very small artist trading cards in cross stitch. You put it on a little piece of card, you mail it to Laura, and then she shows them all in a video, and then she also she swaps them all around, and then you get somebody else's back. So you stitch a little something and then you send it to someone, and then you get another one back. So I took part in that. That has been finished, and it has been sent off to Laura. So when she gets it, and she will do a finish parade, and she will show all of the artist trading cards, so you can see it in there. And then I'll share it once they have been kind of revealed by Laura. I'll share a little snippet that I filmed in my normal floss tubes. And then if I remember, I'll put I'll put it in my finished parade at the end of the year. So my plan is to kind of, rather than do a finished parade every year and have to dig everything out, I thought I'll do it in every sort of 6 months on my stitch anniversaries. So maybe in January I'll do another finished parade of everything I managed to finish in the last 6 months. Although with the rate that I'm accumulating whips, there might not be any finishes between now and January, because I seem to just be starting loads and loads of new things. So coming up tomorrow will be my whip parade. I've managed, for someone who's only been stitching 6 months, I've managed to accumulate an awful lot of whips. So I'm excited to show you that. And if you do follow my normal Flosstubes, there's actually 3 new starts that I'll show in my whip parade that you haven't seen before. So I'm excited about that. If you are new, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. I record my normal Flosstubes between every kind of 10 days and 3 weeks. I just record kind of as and when I feel like it, and when my health allows, and when I've got, you know, some stitching to show you. So I would love to see you back again. You'd be very welcome, so please do subscribe, and I will see you all very soon.